I'm standing here beside one of the best rivers in the world for a species called the freshwater pearl mussel. Ireland has half the global population in its rivers, but it's endangered and facing localised extinction. Here in the spectacular Delphi Valley in Mayo, freshwater pearl mussels thrive in rivers with pristine, clear water. But these mussels are highly sensitive to environmental change, and their habitats are under serious threat from human activity. Dr. Mary Catherine Gallagher is working on a publicly funded farm project that hopes to save this rapidly declining species.
The freshwater pearl mussel has an amazing life cycle. They live to be over 120 years of age, and they start reproducing when they're about 12 years old. So they can potentially be reproducing for about 80 or 90 years.
Every summer, the female mussel releases 4 million fertilised larvae into the water. They attach themselves to the oxygen-rich gills of salmon or trout that swim in the river, and they grow on the gills for 9 months before falling off and lodging themselves to the riverbed.
They stay there for about 5 years, growing bigger all the time, and when they're finally big enough to withstand the flows of water in the river channel, they push themselves up. They might look like they're doing nothing, just sitting there on the riverbed for their whole lives, but they're actually filtering massive amounts of water. So a single adult mussel can filter 50 litres of water in just one day. They're cleaning our water, basically.
The stark decline of the freshwater pearl mussel has been caused by habitat degradation and water pollution. What are the main pressures in terms of human activity?
It's basically anything that impacts water quality. So the big issues in terms of water quality are sediment, excess nutrients, so like nitrogen and phosphorus running off the land into watercourses, and anything that can lead to a decline in oxygen levels both in the water column and in the riverbed. And flow is also a really important factor, and if flow isn't as it should be, it exacerbates the problems of sediment and nutrients.
8th generation farmer Colin Gavin keeps Mayo blackface sheep on these hills. His land borders the local river.
When you were younger, would you have heard about the pearl mussel? Would you have seen one?
Oh God, yeah. Well, when we were younger, we would have been down at the river. We would have seen them, and I suppose one of our biggest surprises was that they weren't in every river. We were aware of them because they were always there, but we weren't aware that there was a problem with them elsewhere.
About 450 farmers like Colin, all along the west coast from Kerry to Donegal, are taking part in this farm project. They manage the land in a way that improves water quality and favours the pearl mussel. They're assessed annually for this results-based scheme and are paid anything from €500 to €10,000 a year for their work.
We just look at the species on the land and the quantity of them. We're looking for any negative indicators that might bring the score down, the quality of the structure of the grassland. Then we're looking at any links between the land and the watercourse, and then other damaging activities. So is there burning on the land? Is there any dumping, bare soil and erosion, or any poaching damage? So that's all assessed throughout each plot, and then there's a score given from 1 to 10 relating to the scorecard then.
And does it take a lot of investment in terms of money for farmers to get 7, 8, 9 out of 10?
No, simple things like putting in gates to separate up a field so that they can have more control of grazing, maybe drinkers to keep them out of drains or watercourses. We have a range of measures that we fund from 25 to 100%.
Colum's father Martin has farmed here for decades, but it's taken this project to change the way he thinks and now values his land.
So Martin, tell me about this field here, because as we can see, it goes straight down to the river where the pearl mussels are.
Yeah, this field that we're looking at here would have been classed as of no agricultural value, if you like. It was basically no value on it. And now it's the field that scores the highest in value for the pearl mussel, because it has so much variety of vegetation in it.
What's extraordinary to think is down there in the river are potentially pearl mussels that were born at the end of the 19th century.
Yeah.
It's just extraordinary.
It is, yeah. And, you know, to think that the impact that we are going to have on them is either going to be positive or negative, and we would hope that it's going to be positive.
What have you done in terms of where the water is going as it travels through your land down to the river?
One thing is the rhododendron. We have a serious problem with that, and it's a pet hate of mine to get it eradicated. And the other thing is we put in walkways for sheep, and we put in silt traps in the drain. So there are three basic things that we have done.
Colm and Martin started changing how they manage the land this year, and it's already having a visible impact.
So this is extraordinary, the sand that's here, and it's building up. This is one of the measures. Tell me about what you've done here.
So we've put marine ply silt blockers, and as you can see there, like the silt has backed up there, and it's flushing out onto these areas from the drains, and that's not going into the river, and it's building up the area around the drain there as well. So that will revegetate in. It'll become very naturalised there.
This project is all about saving the freshwater pearl mussel from extinction, but it's also been particularly positive for the farmers themselves.
The one thing this project has done is it's brought us farmers that are in these mountain areas together that we mightn't have had dealings with previous. Our farming networks around here need that.
Is there a pearl mussel farming WhatsApp group?
There is.
Fantastic.
There is, yeah.
So it brings you all together. And do you become competitive about the score you get or not?
Obviously, you'd like to beat the lad next door. So, yeah, there does be a small bit of that.
In the past, Martin saw firsthand the impact of overgrazing by sheep on these hills.
Basically, we were following the policies of increasing sheep numbers and all that kind of thing, and that was definitely have a seriously negative effect on the environment that we know now, that we appreciate now. And now my focus is to leave that legacy behind me, the same as I inherited when I came here as a young fella.
About a half of the European freshwater pearl mussel population live in Irish rivers. Thanks to the work of Colm and Martin and all the farmers and scientists involved in this project, the future for this species is beginning to look a little bit brighter.